Take a moment. Think of a memory from your childhood. Pick one you are sure about. Maybe it's a birthday party, around a table with a cake. Or maybe it's a family vacation, the feeling of sand, or the smell of a campfire. Get the picture clear in your head. See the faces. Hear the sounds. You were there. You know it happened. Now, here's a question. What if you're wrong? What if you remember it so clearly, so perfectly, but it never actually happened at all? Most of us think of our minds as a perfect recording device. Our eyes are the lens. Our ears are the microphone. When something important happens, we press record. The memory is stored away safely, like a tape on a shelf or a file in a computer. When we want to remember, we just press play. The event unfolds in our mind, exactly as it happened. We trust this process completely. How could we not? Our memories are the building blocks of who we are. They are the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. Your first day of school. The first time you rode a bike. The loss of a loved one. Each memory is a brick in the foundation of your identity. They explain why you are the person you are today. These memories feel real because they are so vivid. We can feel the warmth of the sun from a summer afternoon 20 years ago. We can hear a grandparent's voice long after they are gone. We can taste the cake from a childhood birthday party. With so much detail, our memories feel like proof. They feel like the truth. This idea is comforting. It means our past is stable. It means we have a solid ground to stand on. We believe that what we remember is what was real. For a long time, almost everyone believed this. It was common sense. But common sense is sometimes wrong. A scientist began to look closer at this idea. She started to question the very nature of memory, and what she found suggested that our minds are not like a camera at all. They are more like a storyteller that can be tricked. Her name is Elizabeth Loftus. As a young cognitive psychologist, she was fascinated by the strange gaps in our memory. She noticed the difference between what really happens in an event and the story we tell about it later. She wondered how that gap was created. What happens to a memory between the event and the telling? Her early work started with simple questions. She began looking into what she called the misinformation effect. The idea was simple. Can information you get after an event change your memory of the event itself? To test this, she conducted a now famous experiment. She showed people videos of car accidents. Then she asked them questions about what they had seen, but she changed one single word in a critical question. To one group, she asked, about how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? To another group, she asked, about how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? The word hit is neutral. The word smashed suggests something more violent and destructive. The people who heard the word smashed estimated the cars were going much faster than those who heard hit. That part is interesting, but it's not the most important finding. A week later, Loftus asked all the participants another question. Did you see any broken glass? There was no broken glass in the video. Most of the people who heard the word hit correctly said no. But of the people who heard the word smashed, many said yes. They remembered seeing broken glass that was never there. The single word didn't just change their opinion. It changed the facts of their memory. It rewrote a piece of their past. This was a troubling discovery. If one word could create a memory of something that didn't exist, what else could? Loftus realized she wasn't just exploring the fine details of memory. She was on the edge of a much bigger, more frightening idea that our memories might not be ours alone. They could be altered, shaped, and even invented by outside forces, without us ever knowing. The car crash study was one thing. It showed you could change a detail in a memory. But could you go further? Could you invent an entire memory from nothing and plant it in someone's mind? Could you convince a person they experienced something complex and emotional that never actually happened? This was the question that led to Loftus's most famous and controversial experiment. It's known as the Lost in the Mall study. Here is how it worked. Loftus and her colleague, Jim Cohen, contacted the family members of their study participants. They asked the families for a few true stories from the participants' childhood, things that really happened between the ages of 4 and 6. Then, the researchers created a small booklet for each participant. The booklet contained 4 stories from their childhood. 3 of them were the true stories, gathered from their families. But the 4th story was a complete fabrication. It was a detailed, plausible, but entirely false story about the participant getting lost in a shopping mall for an extended period of time. The fake story was filled with specific details to make it seem real. It mentioned crying. It mentioned being found by an elderly person who helped them. It mentioned being reunited with their family. These are all common elements of such a story. Each participant was given their booklet and told the stories were all from their past, collected from family members. They were asked to read each one and then write down what they remembered about the event. If they didn't remember it, they were just supposed to write, "I do not remember this." The first time they were interviewed, about a quarter of the participants claimed they remembered the fake event of being lost in the mall. They accepted the planted memory as their own. But what happened next is the most critical part of the study. The participants were interviewed again weeks later. Now, even more people claimed to remember being lost. And they didn't just remember it, they had added their own details. They remembered the old man who found them had a flannel shirt on. They remembered the specific toy store they were standing in front of when they realized they were alone. They remembered their mother's panicked face. They described their own feelings of fear and confusion. They took the simple, false story they were given, and they built a rich, emotional, personal memory on top of it. It felt just as real to them as their actual memories. They had no idea it was fake. This study, published in 1995, showed that it was possible to plant a rich, detailed memory in a person's mind. It wasn't just about changing a detail. It was about inventing the past. The study showed that memory isn't a recording we play back. It's a reconstruction. Every time we remember something, we are rebuilding it. And in that process of rebuilding, new information can get mixed in. The memory is a story, and the story can change. The Lost in the Mall study was a landmark. But what does a laboratory experiment like this really prove? Is getting lost in a mall the same as other, more serious life events? As Loftus's work became more famous, it also became more controversial. Many people were not just skeptical, they were angry. The strongest pushback came from a group of therapists and their patients. During the 1990s, a practice known as recovered memory therapy was popular. Some therapists believed that trauma, especially from childhood, could be so severe that the mind would bury the memory completely to protect itself. They used certain techniques to help their patients recover these lost memories. As a result, many people in therapy began to remember horrible events that they had no memory of before. Loftus's research presented a direct challenge to this idea. If she could plant a memory of being lost in a mall, could a therapist unintentionally plant a much darker memory in the mind of a vulnerable patient? Her work suggested that some of these recovered memories might not be memories at all. They might be inventions created by the very process that was supposed to uncover them. This was seen as a dangerous and harmful idea by many. They worried Loftus was creating a tool for abusers to deny what they had done. They feared she was telling victims that their own minds could not be trusted and that their suffering wasn't real. Critics argued that her laboratory experiments were nothing like real-world trauma. They said you cannot compare a false memory of a shopping trip to a real memory of deep pain. The debate became heated and deeply personal. Loftus was accused of siding with criminals and invalidating the experiences of victims. Those who supported recovered memory therapy were accused of creating a modern-day witch hunt, where false accusations could ruin lives based on flimsy, manufactured memories. The conflict showed just how high the stakes were. This wasn't a simple academic disagreement. It touched on our deepest ideas of truth, justice, and personal suffering. It asked a question that has no easy answer. When one person's memory is the only evidence of a crime, what do we do when science tells us that memory can be a fantasy? The debate was not just for doctors and scientists. The implications of Loftus's work went straight to the heart of the justice system. In a courtroom, there is often no physical proof of a crime. Sometimes, the only thing a jury has to rely on is the testimony of an eyewitness. Someone who says, "I was there. I saw what happened." That is the person who did it. We place immense faith in that kind of statement. An eyewitness who seems confident can be the most powerful evidence there is. It can be enough to send a person to prison for life. But Loftus's research questioned the very foundation of this faith. Think about the process. A witness sees a crime happen, often quickly and under great stress. Later, they are questioned by police. The officer might ask a leading question, unintentionally suggesting a detail. "Did you see the blue car?" The witness, trying to be helpful, might later remember the car as blue, even if it was green. The memory is already changing. Then, the witness is shown a lineup of suspects. Their memory of the attacker's face might be fuzzy. But if one person in the lineup looks more like their blurry memory than the others, they might pick him. From that moment on, their brain begins to solidify that person's face as the memory of the attacker. Each time they are asked to identify him, the memory becomes stronger, more certain. Not because it's the right person, but because they are rehearsing the identification. By the time they get to the witness stand in court, they might have absolute certainty in their mistaken memory. They are not lying. They truly believe what they are saying. This is not just a theory. Organizations like the Innocence Project have used modern DNA evidence to overturn hundreds of wrongful convictions. In a large number of those cases, the primary evidence used to convict the innocent person was a faulty eyewitness testimony. Someone was sure they saw something, but they were wrong. This creates a serious problem. Our legal system relies on people to tell the truth about what they remember. But what if people can't? What if memory is so fragile that the process of justice itself can corrupt the very evidence it needs? The system is built on a simple belief that we know what we've seen. The science suggests that this belief, as comforting as it is, might be a dangerous fiction. If the justice system, with all its rules and procedures, can be misled by the failures of memory, what about our own lives? We don't have rules for how we remember. We don't have lawyers cross-examining our family stories. We just remember. Our sense of self is not a solid thing. It's a story we tell. Think about it. Who are you? You are the story of your greatest success. You are the story of your most embarrassing failure. You are the story of the family you came from, the reasons you left your hometown, the lessons you learned from your first heartbreak. Your personality, your beliefs, your fears. All of these are shaped by the memories you hold about your past. Your identity is a collection of these stories. But Loftus's work suggests that these stories are not set in stone. They are more like documents that we are constantly editing without even realizing it. A suggestion from a friend, a photo we see online, a dream we have. All of it can get woven into the fabric of our past. We might edit our memories to make ourselves the hero of the story. We might change details to make a painful event seem less painful. We might borrow someone else's story and, over time, come to believe it happened to us. This leads to a deeply personal and unsettling question. If your memories can be changed, or were never true to begin with, what does that mean for your identity? Who are you if the stories that define you are not real? Are you the person who actually lived those moments? Or are you just the person who believes they lived them? There is no easy answer. The line between our true self and the story we tell about that self can be blurry. We are the authors of our own lives. But it seems we might be unreliable narrators. The feeling of being you is based on a foundation of memories. And that foundation might be built on sand. So, memory is not a chest where we store the truth. It is more like a living thing. It grows and changes, it forgets, and it invents. It is not a recording of our past. It is a story we are telling ourselves, right now, about who we used to be. Every time we reach back to remember something, we are not just playing it back. We are building it again, and in that moment of rebuilding, the story can shift. Think back one last time to that memory you chose at the beginning. The one from your childhood that you were so sure about, that cherished, solid piece of your past. After everything we have discussed, are you still so sure it's true? And if it isn't, does it matter?